26 million Americans, that's 1 in 9 adults, have kidney disease, and 90% don't even know it. It is responsible for more deaths each year than breast cancer or prostate cancer. We not giving up. We gon' win.
My mind started racing. Raymond was even more of a survivor than I thought. Raymond was part of that 90% that didn't know. How many people could have been saved if they only had a greater awareness, and more could be done from a prevention standpoint? How many more people will die if a change is not made? It is time. The status quo must change.
Kidney disease and heart disease and diabetes almost create what's called a triple threat. We're really talking about identifying those disease states too, and those problems in patients too.
If you think about the scenarios of, what we deal with, if you think about our as a tribe, we're a unit, we're all together in one. Another thing is, I didn't know diabetes was a #1 cause of kidney disease.
We see so many patients coming to us who have no clue that they've had any kidney disease. And yet when you look back in the record, there have been indications of it for many, many years often now.
When I started getting calls for kidney disease, most of them were at stage 4 and stage 5. And it was a very similar story in that they never knew really when they were at stage 1, 2, 3. It was just like all of a sudden they find this out.
We not giving up. We gon' win.
I truly believe this is a major missing link in the fight against kidney disease, and we have an obligation to pay Grandma's gift forward to positively impact and save even more lives.
I'm so happy I met Hans, not only for my own help, but because I think we're able to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives now.
And if my journey can help others, and as God destined as my purpose in life, then I would be willing to go back and do it all over again.
We not giving up. We gon' win. We are warriors, champions. We not giving up. We gon' win. We are warriors, champions.
All right, welcome to another week of Shoes Off Talk. This your boy Larvell, aka L Dub, L Boss with the sauce, L Drizzle with the dizzle.
Wow.
And we have in the house Tim, Floyd. Floyd, what's going on?
Oh man, what's going on? It's all good over here. Yes, sir. What's up, Tim?
What's up, sirs? I'm excited about today's show. I can't wait to start talking to our guests. Ready to get informed and educated.
That's right.
About something that's really serious in the community. Some things that we all take for granted until the mishaps with our health happen.
Especially in the African American community.
Yes, especially in the African American community. So without further ado, we're going to have them introduce themselves.
All right. We're Raymond and Alan Scott, a.k.a. Bulldog. And we're the founders of 1 in 9, nonprofit organization to raise awareness for kidney disease, and also the founders of Breakthrough Health Solutions, which we're going to come with some. If we're going to bring up some of the challenges, we've got to bring up some of the solutions as well.
Yes. There you go. All right.
Well, you guys have, looking at some of the stuff you guys have done, my cohorts here have previously interviewed you guys 1 or 2 times before, and so it's a blessing to see you guys still doing God's work as far as getting the message out and helping people with alternative medicine means. And so take us through how you guys got to this stage.
Well, it started over 25 years ago. Actually, Raymond and I met on a blind date. He was a year out of the Army.
Oh, wow, nice.
And came up to Phoenix, and obviously we hit it off on the blind date. And then 3 months later, his kidneys failed out of the blue. We weren't expecting that. And he was only 29, I was 23. And I always tease him and say, he kind of timed it well, because I knew he was a good man.
Yeah.
But Raymond's from Charleston, South Carolina, And he had just, his kidneys failed like a week after Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
And he had just made me London broiled, candy yams, homemade macaroni and cheese. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, he could cook too, because that is not one of my gifts and talents. And, you know, but just, he knew he had high blood pressure, but he didn't know that the correlation, you know, that diabetes and high blood pressure are the two leading causes of kidney disease. And so he was taking his blood pressure medication, but wasn't checking it regularly. He didn't have a blood pressure cuff at home. And so 3 months into the relationship, I'm already nagging him because that week within that week, he started developing this cough, and I was like, that doesn't sound good. You need to go to the you need to go to the doctor and get it checked out. He's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And you know, like
how we normally do.
Yeah, you know, like, what's the big deal?
You know, every man does it. You know, I'm okay. You know, I even have family members who they don't go to see the doctor until something is really bad or really wrong. And
drink some ginger ale.
Robitussin. That's what it is.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, he finally was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go. It was a Friday. He's like, I'm gonna go into urgent care and probably give me some antibiotics. I probably have bronchitis, and I'm gonna head off to work. We were supposed to have a date that night. You got to urgent care. What happened?
Got to urgent care, man. The nurse took my blood pressure with the machine twice. Then took it manually. Didn't say a word. Ran to the back.
Oh
I'm like, what's going on? All this for blood pressure? You know, I got to get to work. Came back with the doctor. The doctor was like, Mr. Scott, do you have tightness in your chest? Any pain in your chest? Or a headache or anything? I was like, no. Why? I just came here to get some antibiotics for this bronchitis and we go to work. He said, man.
You go to work?
You're not exactly.
My blood pressure was, what?
270 over 190.
What?
Yes, unheard of.
Wow.
My mother-in-law is a nurse, and she said I never heard of anybody with a blood pressure.
No, that's death. Like, you're dead.
Yeah,
like,
stroke, heart attack.
Yeah. So that just lets you know that, you know, you have a purpose.
Definitely.
You know, for you being here. And just to piggyback on what LaVille was saying, it's like we need more education in the Black community about our health, but the way we look at our health is how we look. I look fine. I look like ain't nothing wrong with me, but some of the healthiest people have the clogged arteries, have the, you know, the illness that you can't see, or, you know, and a lot of it has to do with stress and diet, you know, and people think that just because I look a certain way, I don't have to, you know, maintain a good diet. But what I found, you know, me being a trainer, is that first of all, we have the most unhealthiest food in the world in the United States.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
All of the stuff that our food is treated with is super unhealthy.
Chemicals,
and it's just, you start eating this food, digesting this food over a period of time, it starts to take effect on you gradually.
Right.
And then if you, on top of that, is not eating a healthy diet, then that, you know, just complicates it even more. So what are some of the things that you guys recommend people do, you know, to kind of, you know, make sure that your levels and all of this stuff are maintained? You know, is there a regimen? Do you recommend people to go out and get a blood pressure to periodically check their blood pressure, or what does that look like?
Lord knows we do.
One of the simplest things I could have done was buy a blood pressure cuff. I knew I had high blood pressure, but as far as what it was, I had no clue. But buying a blood pressure cuff and keeping track of what your blood pressure is when you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed, in the afternoon, as many times as you can, just so you have an idea of where you are. That's a simple investment that I could have done. People with diabetes, make sure you're checking your blood sugar before and after meals. You know, doing these little simple steps could prevent a lot of long-term difficulties, such as what I've been going through.
what have been some of the things that you've had to endure over the years as far as testing? I know you've been poked and prodded, for years.
Oh my goodness. What is it, open heart surgery? I had to go through that. And all of these are underlying things that happen because of the high blood pressure and kidney disease and, end stage renal disease, which I'm on dialysis for, because dialysis is hard on the body. It's really hard on the body and on the heart also. So over that long period of time on dialysis, all of a sudden I started to develop problems with my heart. So it takes a lot of discipline, but you also have to be aware of what your body is doing, what it's going through, and educating yourself about what it's going through.
Because like you said, you can look healthy on the outside.
Right.
You don't know necessarily what's happening on the inside. And so kidney disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease are known as like the triple threat.
Yeah.
So they go hand in hand, and they're all silent killers. Kidney disease usually don't have symptoms until like closer to the end, which, like I said, when we look at the list of symptoms, he wasn't having those symptoms until the week before his kidneys failed. And kidney failure is stage 5. So there aren't those symptoms. So, but if you have early detection, it can make a huge difference. Same thing when you look at even with pre-diabetes, it's doing damage to your kidneys, it's doing damage to your body. You can still have heart attack, you can still have different issues. And then high blood pressure, as he's saying, that's silent. And, so sometimes he's like, I didn't know it was that sky high. And, so it creeps up on people. And so I think it's important to kind of know what your risk factors are. Just, even, checking and making sure you're going to the doctor. You don't have to be sick to go to the doctor, but just get that annual checkup and get a baseline on your kidneys, especially if you have family history or you've got high blood pressure or diabetes. And, those, like I said, are the top two causes, like 2/3 or more of kidney disease, kidney failures because of diabetes and or high blood pressure. Those aren't the only causes. There can be other genetic causes. There's, others, but that by far is the most. So that's why we kind of put an emphasis there, because, we're meeting people all the time that, like Raymond, crashed into dialysis, and they're like, how did I get here? What just happened? And they didn't even know they've had diabetes and maybe even high blood pressure for years. And like, why didn't my doctor tell me that this could have caused that? So maybe even some, prevention ahead of time. Like if we can do some things to even prevent the onset of diabetes or high blood pressure with eating the right things, exercising. But even if people do have these conditions, it's not too late. A lot of doctors say, once you had it or once you had the damage, that's just where it is. Raymond is walking, living proof that that's not the case. He's been able to reverse some things. So I think it's important to be be your own biggest advocate. That's key.
Yeah, I
was going to say, I actually liked one part that you said, that don't wait until something's wrong. That's something that we need to get more into. I had to learn this myself. Just go to the doctor. Yearly checkups. So easy. The easiest thing we can do. You said, wait until we're about to pass out or headaches. It's the simple, just get a checkup. Just set it up.
I think the other thing is we live in a society too where, we're confused about a lot of health stuff, and it comes down from the big pharmas and different things to where it has people second guessing everything, because we know when it comes to health and medical that it's a moneymaker. It's all about money. And so I think that's why you have on social media, you have so many different naturopath, holistic stuff that's coming out now, because people are starting to figure out like these medicines and treatment aren't really doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're really just putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's the other thing that's confusing a lot of people is that, and also like you said, is like people are waiting on these issues to happen to give them the warning signs. But, as a trainer, I tell people that not everybody's body is the same. People's body react to things differently, and so the biggest relationship you can develop in your life is the relationship with yourself and your body, and understanding the do's and don'ts with your body, what your body, can do and what it can't. Because, me and him, he might be able to eat something that my system rejects.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell, this one of the things that I say too, as far as, with food is get a food allergy test, find out what your body doesn't like, because then that can kind of give you a blueprint of what you need to do in order to maintain your body and your health. Because like you said, the average person with numbers that high wouldn't probably even made it to the hospital.
Right.
But because of your DNA and your makeup and how your body is put together, you are able to endure things that probably the average person wouldn't have stood a chance. And so I think that's really important, is that people get out and start developing a relationship with their body to where you understand, your body, because, we have a tendency to look at other people and think that, I need to have these warning signs. I need to feel like this. I need to look like this. And, before I really, enact and do something about this issue. And I think where we really need to start, and this is one of the things that I've been saying for years, is childhood obesity. We have to start this thing at an early age. And I really think that is like the cornerstone of really kind of getting past this. What are you guys' future plans as far as like getting this message out to the world? I know we mentioned earlier, you viewed one of our shows and saw some guests that was on our shows that are doing some athletic stuff in Africa and different things. And so what we definitely want to do is kind of tie those bonds with other people, because everything that we do in life is around health. I don't care what avenue you're taking it, all the common denominator is health, because you won't be able to do any of it if you don't take care of yourself. And the biggest falsehood that we live in is we live in this bubble of, it's easier for me to just love myself than to take care of myself. And I really dislike this message that we're sending out, is it doesn't matter what you look like, just love yourself. And that's the biggest falsehood that you could send to someone, because you're sending them the narrative to where you don't have to take care of yourself. You don't have to just be as you are. People don't accept you for that or love you for that. No, it's not. If you're uncomfortable with the way you look and the way you feel, do something about it. Don't use the excuse that, I'm just gonna love myself the way it is. All that is an excuse for you not to take care of yourself. And we have shining examples every day of what to do and what not to do. And so I'm really honored to have you guys on the show. But yeah, tell us about some of your future plans.
Yeah, and I'm going to touch on what you just said too, because sometimes even culturally, right, we can look at different body types and you look at things like, oh, you're athletic, or you're a big bone, or and it's funny because Raymond's been through a lot. He's definitely here for a reason. And so through those ups and downs, he was probably at what were you, about 210, 215? About 210. And, he was, when he had his open heart surgery, he dropped weight down to about 175. And it was scary. It was like, put your weight back on. And then as we look back at pictures, over all of these years, he put his weight back on, and he had the dad bod for a while. But
my daughter called me Fat Daddy.
Fat Daddy.
So when she looks at not PH.
No.
FAT. Not PHAT.
That's Fat Daddy.
Yeah, well, I found a picture of him. This was way back in the day, and he was sitting down. It was one of those chairs with just this half back, right? And his butt was hanging out. And he's like, whose ass is that? And I said, that's yours. He's like, what? And so, but you go back and forth, in this. And so, he had the dad bod, but then back in 2015, he started preparing. We went to Dancing with the Stars at the National Kidney Foundation. That was our first exposure to Kidney Foundation or any kidney organization in those 17 years since his kidneys failed. And so that's when we're hearing these statistics, and he's like, whoa. And so I was kind of teasing him that night and was pointing out one of the celebrity dancers. I was like, that could be you next year. And I was like, ha ha ha, laughing. And I looked at him and he's like, oh crap, I know that look. And sure enough, he was one of the Celebrity Star dancers in 2016. The night he danced was 18 years to the exact day that his kidneys failed. And I bring that up because he had to do like 6 months of grueling dance practices. He was coming home like, I just found some muscles I didn't know I had. And he got in like the best shape, looked fantastic. And maybe weighed about 5, maybe 10 pounds more than when he had his open heart surgery. Yeah. And that gave us like a different mental view of like, oh no, this is what the picture of health is. You look healthy at this weight. It doesn't look sickly. This is healthy for you. And so I think it is, like you're saying, you got to know your body and you got to look and not just go with what society is saying, what's too thin or too big, but what's going to be healthy for you.
Yeah.
And that's huge because, his blood pressure was coming down. He was having other health benefits when he was in shape, and it was easier for him to, continue working out. So he works out 4 or 5 days a week. And the other key component is because we do also his home dialysis 5 days a week. So he's not just going in center and only 3 days a week, which is really taxing on the body. So we literally just wrapped up his dialysis treatment like an hour before we came here. So, and he doesn't look like, not only does he not look like a dialysis patient, he doesn't look like what he's been through, thank God. Mm-hmm. So we can't just go by like what you look like on the outside.
I said that a couple of weeks ago. I said, I thank God I don't look like what I've been through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of people's testimony is that, and I tell even clients that I train, I said, look, don't scale watch. Don't look at the scale. Mm. How do you feel?
Right.
How do you feel? Because like you said, you get people that will put you on this pedestal, and then you start looking at this commercial way that we're supposed to be viewed and what people consider to be healthy and not healthy. And it's a preference thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, once you know your body, you know what feels good to you. You know what looks good to you. And I know a lot of us that have been in the health industry, we suffer from this thing called body dysmorphia.
Wait, what?
Body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is like, no matter what you do, you never see yourself as what you're trying to get it to look like. Mm-hmm. People may tell you, bro, you look good. Yeah. When you look at yourself, you don't see that. That's body dysmorphia. And those people are never settled when it comes to taking care of their health. It's an obsession for them. Right. And it comes and goes. There's stages of it that you go through in life, especially as you get older. You start, if you someone that's been in sports a lot, or you've worked out a lot, as you get older, your body doesn't, adjust, and your body doesn't conform and recover like it used to. And so you start looking at yourself like, and we don't think about our age, that our body is going through these changes and recovery is not as quick, and we can't do the things that we did 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And so, but our mind doesn't change.
Right.
When it comes to body dysmorphia, we still think when you have body dysmorphia that you're supposed to look like you did 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so that's a stigma that, that people just need to come to terms with and understand that it's more about how you feel about yourself.
Right.
We have a sitting guest that She's running a little late, but I definitely want to probably once she gets here, we'll kind of rewind this a little bit, and because the information that you guys have given us is very informative, it's eye opening, and it gives people hope, because I think one of the things that we find is when we go talk to these doctors and they say certain words, we automatically think that this is it.
Right.
This is it. And you go into a stage where you lose the will to fight.
Right.
Because like you said, when you say stage 4, stage 5, people automatically okay, that's it. There's nothing else I can do. What I wanted to ask was, what have you guys found in the way of natural medicines that have helped, that have worked?
It's so interesting because when we started 1 to 9, it was in 2015. That's when we started hearing all these statistics, and I was pissed. I was hearing things, and I was saying, wait a minute, what do you mean? At the time, 26 million Americans, or 1 in 9 adults, have kidney disease. What do you mean diabetes and high blood pressure? Like, what do you mean 90% of the people walking around with it don't know?
Mm-hmm.
That was Raymond. So that's what kind of pushed us into action, and that's when we started 1 to 9. And from day one, I was very intentional that our key pillars were awareness, prevention, and regenerative medicine. Not knowing that a regenerative solution was going to literally fall from heaven a year later and save his life. And so, and it's far exceeded, our expectations, but it's helped, reverse certain conditions that he's had. It's helped, I know, prolong his life. It's helped some people. Didn't have the expectation it would help with his kidney function, but we've seen it help people with their kidney function, where a lot of doctors will say, well, once you have the kidney damage, it's there. And so this is something that we're bringing up and sharing. I know we don't have enough time here, but even with the topic for today's show is overcoming kidney disease and diabetes. Well, we do know a thing or two about it because he's beat the odds. We didn't know when his kidneys failed that the average life expectancy of someone on dialysis is 5 years. It's been 25 years for him.
Wow.
Minus,
that's good.
Yeah. So it's like he's definitely exceeded those odds. And 5 years. In 2001, his brother donated a kidney to him that lasted for 5 years. And that was a blessing. But 6 months afterwards, the anti-rejection medications and steroids caused him to become diabetic. And you kind of pointed out, like, some people can just go big. Yeah. He goes big. He doesn't do things small. So
I know a little bit about
that. Yeah, his blood sugar shot up to 1,000.
Ooh.
And they're like, get him to the emergency room now. And this was like a day after he had done the blood work, so who knows how much higher it was, because he thought he had the flu and started drinking Gatorade. And but he had to be put on insulin. So that was he was insulin dependent, type 2 diabetic for 14 years. And with this regenerative solution, he's been able to reverse his diabetes. I am happy to report that not only did it save his life on some other things, literally, but he was able to reverse diabetes. He's no longer diabetic on any insulin or any diabetes medication whatsoever for the past 7 years. A1C like 5.4, 5.6. Might be a little bit higher after Thanksgiving. But I told you about his cooking. But you know what? But he maintains his health. He's doing the right things. And so where a lot of people say, oh, well, once you have diabetes, you can't reverse it. That's not true. I'm talking type 2 diabetes. But there are things that you can do for your body. And ironically, this solution was really presented to Raymond literally 2 weeks before he did Dancing with the Stars. So we have that picture. He's like, picture of health, like you said, looks fantastic on the outside. Internally, he was telling a completely different story.
I can attest to that. because people, I encounter, when I tell people my age, people say, wow, you look good for your age. And I tell people, I was like, I'm that Mercedes Benz that's on that shady used car lot that looks good sitting there, but don't lift the hood. The timing belt's going. There's a leak. The AC ain't working. Tires about to go flat. I like you is like I've had 15 surgeries in my life and over 40 broken bones.
Wow.
And what's crazy is like you said, I don't if I'm gonna do it, I don't have to do it. I do it all the way. So none of my surgeries have been like just regular surgeries. They have been like horrific. 2018 I almost lost my leg, and so it was it was like I said, we don't do things half-assed. If we don't do it, we don't do it all the way. I just wanted to introduce our sitting guest as she
How are you?
gets
Good.
in.
Good.
We have
Nice to meet you.
Carissa, who's fashionably known as CJ. Today's show, it definitely hits close to home as it relates to CJ and what she's going through. I'm going to pass it over to her.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is for Raymond. Now, doing all the kidney failure, diabetes, and all that, now, that was a life-changing moment.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Mentally, what were you going through?
Well, when the doctor stood there and told me, when I went to the emergency room, because I went urgent care, straight from urgent care to the emergency room. They did blood work and urinalysis, and he sat there, he said, Mr. Scott, your kidneys have failed, and we got to start dialysis on you tonight. So I scheduled you for surgery to put a line in so we can do the blood. And the whole time he was trying to explain to me what dialysis was and what the treatment was. And I didn't hear a word he said. All I saw was his lips moving, but all I could think about was, how long do I have to live? How long do I have to live? And second to that is this fear to hurt my condition. I can't have this young lady here go through this with me. But the number one thing was, how long do I have to live? I have to tell you, throughout this whole thing, faith, family, and friends is what got me through. I mean, my daughter and I used to do daddy-daughter dance.
Yeah.
So this is when things got serious. So in practicing the daddy-daughter dance when she's like 2-3 years old and standing on my feet.
And now she's 15 and taller than me.
Yeah. I'm making an obligation to her that I'm going to be there to walk her down the aisle. Not in a wheelchair, not on crutches, or not at all. But I'm going to be there for her in life's challenges that come towards her. So I'm making that promise. And to my wife, and they poured so much into me that I didn't have a choice. I got to be more disciplined. This thing wipes people out. It is unforgiving. So I got to be different. I got to be better. Now I got a doctor who calls me the best damn dialysis patient in Phoenix. And I look to that. And you talk about discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. But faith, family, friends, that's what has gotten me through.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's just like you can see the strength in you. Just everything that you've been through, even just to be, in this point, like to watch you walk through the door unassisted, to watch you move unassisted. I've personally seen those diseases really tear people down in a short amount of time. And so it's definitely a blessing to have you here to give your testimony, and to share, these different things with our audience and us in this room. I'm constantly on these two about taking care of themselves and eating.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And everything. You look over there, I got the organic peanuts over there, and the healthy foods over there, and because I know how important that is, even just the little things, and so I commend you. We thank you, and like I was saying, your story and everything that you guys are doing really hits close to home with CJ, because like I said, she has a son that battles lupus and kidney disease. So what I want to do is turn everything over to her, turn the floor over to her, and let her introduce herself and some of the stuff that she's been dealing with as well, to where you guys can have a little short dialogue and kind of give her some information about what you guys are doing, what you guys did, and kind of bend her ear a little bit.
Hi.
Hey, I'm CJ with Dream on the Soul Food Kitchen. I have a son. His name is Makai. Makai is 16 years old. And earlier this year, I noticed his face was swelling. And at first, I thought maybe it was allergies. But coming from the health field where I come from, I said, no, this is something different. When I took him to the doctor, they said, no, he's okay. Took him to the hospital. A doctor came out and I looked dead at his face and turned right back outside and made a call to the Phoenix Children's Hospital. Makai did the urine, as I was listening to you. That said a whole lot in his blood. He said, there's one or two things we're going to do. It's either send Makai home because the doctors are not going to keep him here, or I'm going to have you go to the Phoenix Children's Hospital and they're going to work him up automatically. I said, let's do that. We went to the hospital. Great team of doctors. A couple of them flew down, so they'd never seen his rarity of what he was dealing with. I was like, what is going on? And so he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and they said the butterfly. So we seen the look, and I said, oh my God, this child has lupus. It's not in my family. It doesn't come from his father's side. I made a couple of calls, and they said it just happens. Next thing we know, we were going to prepare for surgery for his kidney biopsy. They said, we're going to have to go in. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, what is taking place at this point? And I told him, I don't know what's happening, but you got to be still. And I said, we got this. And he said, okay. We come back out. Most definitely stage 5 kidney cancer with systematic lupus.
Oh, wow.
I lost it. It took me some time to gather my thoughts.
Right.
Him being a teenager is hard because he's in school. He runs track, 7th in state.
Oh, man.
He can't play football no more because now the heat affects him.
Right.
I can't make him wear body oil because it burns. So now I got to find all this different things for you to go to school, get called names. He says, you don't know what I did. I said, you're right. But let's get through it.
Yeah.
He said, I'll just kill myself so you don't have to deal with this. I said, no, we ain't going out like that.
Yeah.
So then the doctors kept talking to him and he started getting better. Then I started looking at all these different medications. I said, oh my goodness, you got to take all of these answers. Then his legs started having all the spots and swelling, and I'm like, you got to work out. He lost his drive. It took my son to come down from New Orleans. Let's get in this gym. We got to get this water off you. Come on, Makai, you can do it. You got to get your strength back. The little friends, the family, the friends, those is what kept him going through, to the point where he speaks to people freely about it, but he doesn't want anyone to see his body. Right. He doesn't want to wear the shorts unless they're long, and he just, kind of cautious about what he does. But it's an everyday struggle because some of the medication makes him mood swingy. And then I tell him, I understand you're taking medications and stuff like that, and you might get an attitude or anything, but I need you to understand you got common sense first, so don't make me beat you up. So I'm going to need you to understand who you talking to, sir. Well child, very respectful. And he was like, okay, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm just having a bad day. he goes outside for 20 minutes, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
He's going to sleep. He can't take it. So I told him, we got to drink this kidney tea, and there's 3 herbs in it, and it's going to help cleanse your kidney, and you're going to do it. You're going to eat the salad. So I started changing his diet. It was working. Everything was working. Then he go get a job at Wendy's, and it's but I knew the sandwich. And then I got the juice. And I'm like, Makai, we were doing good. I need you not to do any of that. And so once we started getting in there, certain friends started coming around. Certain families started looping them on. And it was like maybe the first 3 months, we were in the hospital maybe 3 times a week because they had to do infusions to his kidney and certain medication. Because he's so young, the doctor was honest. I don't want him to get to dialysis, right? So I'm going to give him this medication because it's going to be okay with the kidneys for his age. And when Makai, you turn 18, you get to pump yourself once a month. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, okay, let's do it. So it took a toll on me, a toll on him, of going back and forth to work, in the hospital, out the hospital, dealing with doctors and stuff like that. To the point we got the levels down. Everything starting to make that curve. I'm like, okay, we're starting to see the good. But then as soon as he eats that slice of pizza with that tomato sauce, his kidney doctor got on the FaceTime and said, that's 5 pounds of fluid. You just got it 1 week or less. Put it down. And he was like, so I'm not supposed to eat anything? Like he just blew up.
Yeah.
Like I'm a kid. I'm not supposed to eat this. I'm not supposed to eat that. What am I here for then? This doesn't make sense. As a kid, he's like, my whole life has changed. And this is not fair. And so he was like, you're going to be okay. You're going to have to go through the process. Mom, bear with him. I'm like, I'm trying. So now he can eat a slice of pizza. Now he can have some bread sauce. Bread is not good. And I never knew that tomatoes were bad for your kidney until the doctor said most people, and men and women of color, don't even think about cleansing their kidneys. Do it every 60 days, including you.
They told me the same thing, that I should not be eating tomatoes and some of the skin of tomatoes. And I love ketchup, tomato sauce, and Italian foods, and I have to come back myself. So I get that.
I never knew that until all doctors was like, everybody knew leave tomatoes alone. They are not your friend. And I was like, well, if you hear that, I'll leave it alone. But okay, don't eat ketchup. Don't. And I'm like, what? So we started doing different things, and I started making different drinks for Makai and making him do certain workouts and certain drinks, and it's been helping.
Yeah.
But you better believe when we go through that we go through it hard. So just hearing your story, I hope he's listening because he's with family. So he probably is listening right now because they were tuning in. But I told him, see, you can get through it. And they told me he probably would never bear children or anything like that. So he was just like, my whole life.
Yeah, but you never know. The doctors can say this and that. I'll be transparent. So with all of the things going on, we were young. We were only dating 3 months when his kidneys failed. I was 23. He was 29. And he did try and give me an out and say, you're too young. I'm like, look, you're a good man. You're not going anywhere. He's like, you know what? I hoped you would say that, but I had to give you an out. We were married less than a year later. And we didn't want to have kids right away. We knew we wanted to have kids. And then when we went to try, we were having some difficulties. And the doctor was saying, well, you know, all the things his body has going on, the body is saying, wait, you want kids too? But we were able to. We had 2 children. You know, I guess that's probably a good thing. I'm very, very headstrong, and so don't tell me no. But we never had a doubt. We're like, we're going to have children. And we had to go through in vitro to get pregnant with our son. And then our daughter was a straight up miracle. No drugs, no doctors, nothing. And so, yeah, tell him to have. In fact, if he's listening right now, you know, your future is bright. You don't know what's on the other side, you know, in terms of maybe new treatment options or things that are going on holistically, things that he can do. And so
that's encouraging that you're his voice, even when he doesn't have one. I mean, you're his voice. With chronic illnesses and diseases, the whole family goes through it, not just one person. I mean, my kids know, okay, Dad, you got dialysis today. Dad, should you be eating that? You know, and they try to check me. You know, that's how it is. The whole family fits in one way or the other. And I've been fortunate, and he's fortunate to have you. I've been fortunate to have this bulldog here because you need somebody to bite you when you're not doing right. You know, somebody to get you right, get you straight. So my hat's off to you, you know. But because there's also in chronic illnesses and diseases, there's a mental thing you go through too. With bouts of depression, you know, am I worth all of this? And even I was like, okay, this is just too much, you know. And I asked God, I got mad at God. Why me? Why is this my cross to bear? Why me? And you know, you kind of do this tug of war with your mind, and that's when I go into prayer. And that's when, you know, without even knowing it, my son come up behind me and punch me in the back. You know, not hard, of course, but, you know, just a lift. Because God knows it. Okay, I need to give him a lift. When she told me about my daughter, her being pregnant, I had just had what?
He had just had open heart surgery. He was still in the
I was
hospital.
in a bad place because I was going to miss my son's birthday. Here I am in this hospital. Come on, God, you got to give me something. I need something. And she told me that. He showed up again. He showed up again. So, yeah.
It sounds like, man, that you know, I deal with bouts of depression because I have PTSD, and so I understand that. But I really can't compare my PTSD to life-threatening diseases because with PTSD, I have outlets. I have things that I can do that as an escape. You guys have to live with this. Like, this is something that is not just mental; it's physical. And like you said, you see it taking a toll on your family members and the people that are closest to you, and it. I imagine like the weight of seeing other people hurt when you hurt, you know, and then looking and saying, "This is happening because of me."
Right.
You know, this is because of me, and so I commend the both of you. But what I wanted to ask CJ is, you know, being that you are a chef, you know, just a shameless plug she does the
that wasn't
G Mama's catering, and I've had her food, y'all. So I'm telling you, fire. So at the end of this, we're gonna give her shameless plug to where she can tell you how to get her food. But being a chef, how has that been so instrumental in preparation of your son's food? Because he, you know, most likely can't eat a lot of the stuff that you prepare when it comes to your catering.
It comes down from the roots of knowing how to take anything to make it into something. So when you're cooking for him, whether it's a chicken salad or me getting spices and stuff together, it just feels good to the soul because then I make everybody eat it. Like, we all try it too. They're like, that's nasty. I'm like, no, I'm giving it a shot. So when you're in there preparing the food and I show him, and he was like, oh, I don't like that. And then when he eat it, he's like, oh, that wasn't bad. Right. So this is what you got. And then when he does, well, I need to go run, or we need to go exercise together, or I need to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, before you do that, we better do this. And it's like, it's nasty. So I was taking something and doctoring it up or looking and finding a different way to make it. So I'm like, so since your mom cooks, right, I'm going to just prepare these meals for you through the whole week. And this is what you stick to. And what I get is, well, since what happened was I got off of work, so I ate the cheeseburger. I'm like, leave the cheese alone. We can't do. So I have learned to compromise with him. Like, okay, every Sunday since I grew up as a child, we eat family Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
Period. Right? So I always make the meal to the point where I want lasagna, I want your famous spaghetti. And have that sauce. So I've learned to make it, take out a whole lot of additional ingredients that the jar do. I make my own homemade. So he can enjoy it.
Yeah.
So we just want to do it a different way. So that works.
Yeah,
So-
modification is
everything.
huge, and the fact that you're cooking. So we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much that that's put in our food now that it's the food today is not what it was when we were all growing up.
Oh,
when our parents were
definitely.
growing up.
Yeah.
So, and all these processed foods and. Which I'm guilty. We're all guilty.
Yes.
We know
You
better,
can't
but
get
it's
away
so
from it.
convenient. It's there for everything. But the more we can do to eliminate or reduce the processed foods, eat whole foods, plant-based diet. And I'm not saying vegan or vegetarian, because again, it's not a one size fits all.
No,
What's
it's
good for
not.
one person is not good for another. I know when my body tells me you need to eat a cheeseburger,
Yes.
and my body's like, my brain and my body's like, thank you. But that's for me, right? And so, but those modifications and being able to cook from scratch is huge. And I wanted to share with you and encourage Makai. We have a friend that has now been battling, she was diagnosed with lupus in her 20s. And it caused her kidneys to fail. And so she was on dialysis, had a kidney transplant that lasted nearly 30 years. But one of the reasons it lasted for so long, and she's maintained her health, and she's beat the odds, she's healthy and doing well, is because she changed her diet.
Yep.
And she from day, she as soon as she found out that she was very weak and having all these challenges, turned around and makes most of her own meals, cut out the processed foods, is eating the whole foods, eating balanced, and it has saved her life. So
it does work.
that can
Especially
be
chia
encouraged.
seeds, they play a big part. You can do a lot with those, and people just open up to different clusters and stuff like that. It works. So
Nice. So with that being said, have you thought of creating, and you might already have this, a menu that caters to, the people that are going through health issues that can't eat, specific things?
So
Because I know you say you prepare for your son, but say like if, they've been dealing with the issues that they've been dealing with for a while, and I'm sure they've come in contact with other people. Say like if they had somebody that needed food prepared, because they couldn't eat certain food, is that something they could get with you and be like, hey, how do we, is there a menu, or is there something that we can, when we talk to people about healthy living, and is that something that we can give to people and show them that, hey, you don't have to eat this nasty food, and there's healthy alternatives. So is that something that you do? Or?
yes, there is something that I do. So once you call and you talk to me, I always say, what are you allergic to? Is there anything you can't have? And then they say, look, this is what I got, this is what I can do. I will customize you 1 to 3 options of menus that you can have that's going to help you with certain things. Even if I have to call my godmother from Haiti, she's going to say, okay, you need this. Y'all in America don't have none of that, so I'm going to ship you those herbs, this,
Nice.
and then we collaborate. It's in the mail, and her being a Haitian woman, cook this meal, make that soup, do that. And then I can make sure that that's implanted for a person. And a lot of that stuff helped, even with the blood pressure.
Yeah.
She was like, this is what you do. And she told me the 1 or 2 steps. We never dealt with it again.
Because as soon as he had kidney problems, did Makai also start having blood pressure
Yeah.
issues himself?
Yeah.
Did these herbs help him?
The herbs helped him automatically. He got his grandma on the phone, and she said, this is what you're going to do, and this is what he's going to have, and it's going to be a done deal. And it was done.
God gives us all the things we need in the earth
Mm-hmm.
to
He
be
does.
able to have our bodies are wonderfully made,
So true.
marvelously made.
We
But
don't
if
give
we
them a
give
chance.
them the right things,
Yeah.
they can heal themselves. So,
Yes.
so we've been giving Raymond the right things. It allowed his body to do the healing. It allowed his body to turn things around. And
Yeah.
so,
It will.
yeah, we definitely need to connect. Because I already have some people that have reached out and said, do you know if any personal chefs that can put some food,
A lot of vegan options is
even,
Look at God. Look
even
at
like
God.
the main and stuff that they take it's people wouldn't eat it, but you can make it into a strength. So they still get the taste of I'm eating real food because it's in the spice, right? It's not about this is not real meat. It's how I'm gonna make it so you can eat it. I'm gonna take Mrs. Dash, but I'm gonna add what we have, and I'm gonna make it work for you. Even with the mushrooms, you can still make with your jackfruit. You can still make the rolls, the pulled pork. It's everything that's in what you put in it. That's all.
Yeah, and I still like a nice big slice of carrot cake.
Carrot cake. Yes. You just can't get away from. Mine's a sweet potato pie and peach cobbler. Now, when I make that, I let them have it. There's no way. In my house, I can make 15 pies, and all three. My son is 25. He already know I'm about to eat those 3 to myself. Wait for it. It's a wrap. And all of them do. And I'm like, wait a minute.
But you almost have to, because it's all things in moderation. Because if you do too much, you'll just fall off the wagon completely. Yeah. So he has this running joke with his nutritionist, because every month he has the call with his nephrologist, the social worker, the nutritionist, all these people on there, and he's like, hey, my daughter's birthday, was last week, and he's like, I just had a big old piece of macaroni and cheese, and he's like, yep, I had to take my binders with it, and she's like, okay, and she knows the conversation she's gonna have with him every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, but he balances it out,
right?
And he balances to make sure that in all his numbers, like every single month, his numbers are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So because of that discipline.
Yeah. That's very important. Is in every aspect of life is that you have balance with everything you do, and it's so important because we talk about healthy living, but you also need to live.
Right.
Also need to live, and you need to enjoy this thing we call life, because we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know when it's going to end. And how I want, when it's time for me to go, I want to, have said that I enjoyed this life. And that's everything about it. Eating, traveling, everything. But, like you said, we have to make sure that we do everything in moderation.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When you go, can I have that boombox?
So this is what I have to do. Hey,
put it in there right now. Put it in there.
You know what's crazy is Floyd is saying that, but Larvell has all. He goes to my house. He looks around my house. He don't think I see him.
Oh yeah, you do.
He'll look at a hat, and he will look at the hat for 3 weeks. Yeah. It's like, hey, I've been watching that hat for 3 weeks to see if somebody was gonna buy it. Yeah, check your phone. And this man has already cashed out me money for a hat that he didn't even ask for. But he already paid me for it. But we can't take life too serious that we don't enjoy it.
Right.
You can be cognizant of life and the twists and turns that life takes you in, but ultimately you want to enjoy life. And if you're doing things that aren't bringing you enjoyment, then you're doing the wrong things.
Right.
And so I think that's so important, is because that's what sparks us and give us that will to press forward when we run into difficult times. Is we understand that there's better days. But if you've never lived those better days, then you wouldn't know what to look for and what to push forward to. So I just want to thank you guys. What we're going to do is have CJ plug where people can use her catering services and where they can find her. We do have some tasty treats on the table. I don't like that she's sitting by Larvell.
I've been eyeing it.
It looks like one of the boxes already halfway open.
You see how he grabbed them and kept them right by him. He didn't pass them out or nothing. He was like, okay.
So we're gonna have CJ plug where you can find her at, and I can tell you firsthand, food is amazing. And then what we're gonna do is have these lovely people tell you about how you can get in contact with them about some of the things that we talked about today. If you have any questions for them regarding what we spoke about today, they will give you their contact and how to reach them. CJ, where can we find this food?
Just log on to gmamaskitchen.com. As soon as you pop up, it's going to make you subscribe. And if you have questions and information, it gives you a part where you fill out everything and it'll come right to me. And you can find me there. I'm in Peoria, Surprise area. So I'm out there.
But you cater all over the valley.
All over the valley.
Have vehicle, will travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can we keep up with you guys and follow your story and follow your progress? And if we have questions, where do we go to get this information?
So I would say, reach out to me on social media. Facebook is usually the best. We do have a website, 1in9kidneychallenge.com, but my Facebook is Annalyn Brown Scott. I don't think there's too many Annalyns out there. So ANALYN Brown Scott. And, message me. And if this really touches you and you think that there's, just message help, the word help. If you'd like some more information, and mention that you saw us here on Shoes Off Talk. And because we do have more that we're doing. I know you had asked earlier, kind of like what else we're doing, and you just hit on something, and that is enjoying life. And we, as if you couldn't tell already, are very passionate about what we're doing to say we want to help other people to learn the things we wish we would have known 25 years ago. But Raymond says it all the time. He said, if this was my purpose and I can help one other person, I'd be willing to go back and do it all over again. And we have an obligation that I can't just say, we have these solutions that have helped keep my husband alive, to say, well, I've got my husband. No, what can we do to help others so that they have their spouse, so that other children have their fathers, their mothers, their loved ones here. And so, we're telling those secrets. We don't have time here, but reach out, put help. And then, like I was sharing, we have recently done a 3-day webinar of the secrets never told to you about overcoming kidney disease and diabetes. And we had a lot of feedback from that, a lot of people coming back and saying, oh, I wasn't able to make it, could you do another? So we'll be doing kind of a condensed 2-hour version of that coming up soon. So again, I just encourage people to reach out directly, help, and we're here to help.
And it's so important to have real life people that are going through this, because I think we get, we talked about it earlier, that we live in a society that's confused. They don't know what to believe, and you have all these paid actors and paid people that have never been through it. They're just advertising for a paycheck. And so to be able to have you guys as a source of information regarding these diseases and the signs and all of this stuff, to be able to have you as a resource is invaluable. These are the kind of people that you need in the community, the people that have been through it. And I always say this, that this life we live is not about us. It's about the people that come after us. And so if we can set a standard for the people that are coming after us, like you said, if we just touch one, that's enough. We've done our job. And we also said this earlier, nothing in life happens by mistake. We are where we are at this appointed time on purpose. This was destined that we be at this place at this time. And so I always say that as well. It's like I everything that I've been through in my life, I wouldn't take it back. I would do it all over again if I had to, because the lives that I touched, the growth that I personally got from it, made me who I am today. And so in ending, if you guys don't have anything else to say, we just want to thank you guys for coming on the show. This won't be the first. This is not. It's my first, but it won't be the last that we have you guys on. We want to follow your story. We want to have everybody support CJ and everything she has going on in the way of her catering. She gave you her contact information, but if you're viewing this, feel free to get in the comments. If you guys want to get in touch with them, this is why we created this platform, is we want to be able to touch lives and make connections in our community to where we become a resource for people. And so anytime you guys need us, or you need to get a message out, or you need a platform, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to be a part of what you have going on in any way, shape, or form. As we end all shows, love, peace, and soul.
All right.